So this is the third video in the series of Microsoft Access 2007-2010. In the first video we talked about tables, and in the second video we talked about a little bit of tables and also about how forms are used to enter information in the table. So I'm still continuing using the same contact list table we created. So I'll just show you here. I've got my table here, contact list, and also had created a form. Forms are usually used to enter information in a table, and up here on the top I can see there's my form. I can close that, and there's my contact list table with all the stuff that I had entered. In this video I'm going to talk about query, and we're going to talk about report. So query is another word for search, and in Access the queries can get very powerful. I'll talk about the simple types of queries and how you can use it to find information, and then I'll show you at the end of the day, when you are working somewhere, they just care about the report. So how do you create a report? So from the Create tab there is an option to create a query wizard. So I can click on that. Simple query is what we're going to do. Click OK. Again, you get to choose which table you want to use if you had more than one table. I can add all the field. If I think, you know what, I don't care about the website, I can remove that. Notes, I don't need. If I don't want the contact ID, I can remove that if I wanted to. So you can choose what you want and what you don't want. I can click next. Now that's the name of the query, contact list query or whatever you want to call it. So if this query was doing something particular, you could give it that name. I'll just call it query 1 for now. Now at this point, if I just choose the open option, it will just show me all the results from my table. I would rather modify it because so that I can get what I exactly want. Click modify, click finish. Now this is what a query looks like. These are all the fields, and where they have the check mark, it means that when I run the query, whether it should show me that information or not. So if I remove the first name check mark, I will not see the first name in the list when it is created, and I'll talk about that a little bit. So say for example I go to relation, and in the criteria line I just type the word family, and then there is a run button here in the left hand corner. I click it. Now I only see the results based on family. I can go back. Now say if I say, you know what, don't show me contact ID, and I click run, now I don't see the contact ID field. I can go back to the design view by clicking the button in the left hand corner under file. Put the check mark here. I'll just remove the family. Okay. I could do even more, like I could come to telephone number and I can type like 905. That should work. Nope, I need to put the quotations. Like 905 and star. So the star, the asterisk, that defines that it's a wildcard. So match 905, but after that I don't care. So the same way if I change the area code to 404, that means with the star it means match the first three, after that I don't care. So I'm saying like 404 star run. Now I see all the results with 404. So that's in the criteria section. The same way I can add another element to it, and I can say, you know what, in the city I put the bracket and I type what city. So that will prompt me with a question, what city, and I type the answer. So say if I run it and it's asking me and I type the word Toronto, click OK. Now I see all the results matching Toronto. So if I want to do the dates, I can type the word between, and then in the bracket I put a question. So say I say start date, end bracket, end date, close bracket. So what I'm saying is that whenever it runs this query, it will ask me the question. So alright, give me the starting date and then give me the ending date, and it will give me results based on those dates. So say if I run it and I type 01/01/1950, that's my start, and 01/01/1985. So I shouldn't get any dates after 1985 of January. Let's click OK, and there's my results, and I do not see any dates beyond 85. So this is a really good way to get results based on exactly what you want between start date and end date. For this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a question here, and I'm going to say what relation. So every time it runs, I can type friend, I get friends results, and then every time I run it again, I get family. Okay. So I'm just going to hit save, close it, and I'm going to rename this. Right click, rename, and I'll call it query relations, so that is easy. Okay. You can also right click on it, you can go to the design view, you can open it. Same thing with the contact list, right click, design view, or open. Same thing with the form. So that's a query. So you're trying to create a query that will allow you to get your results that you want. And you can even create reports based on this query, which I'll show you, or you can just have results doing things. And there is more to query than just this. There are other type of queries which will go and do even more things. So you can find it into the help section, or you can go on the internet and find even more information. So there's a help section here where you can go and learn more about queries and everything that you wanted to know. So the last thing in the elements of Access, we've done the tables, queries, and forms. Now the last thing is the report. So I'm going to go to create, and in the report also there is a report wizard, so I'm going to use that. Now you see, this time around I just want to choose create a report on a table, not a query. So I click table, I can add all the fields, and say I don't want the notes, I can remove that. Say I don't want the postal code, I can remove that. So you can remove whatever you want, keep what you don't want, and I click next. Now up here, a lot of these things, don't worry about it initially, just leave the defaults as it is. In this case, you kind of giving some things more priority or more power, but you don't have to worry about it to get the basic report. Next, you can sort it if you wanted to, like say you wanted to sort it by relations instead of contact ID, you could do that. You can choose whether you want it portrait or landscape. In this case, I'll choose landscape because I have a lot of fields. Click next. That's the name. I can just say report, and its preview is fine. I click finish, and you see now all my information shows up in a nice way on the report. The only problem is you see a lot of the information like contact ID is missing, birth date is not proper. So I just need to work with the layout. So I'm just going to close, print preview. Now this is a design view and you can work from here, but I think it's easier to work from the layout view. So now this is where I can start making changes. So say the birth date, I'll just start moving. I've got all this space here that I can use for the birth date and all of these things. So I just click here for first name, and I'm holding the shift key so I can click everything. So the relation, I'm just going to click on relation, and I'm going to reduce. So now I've got all this room. I click here, hold the shift key, click here, and then just I can move this too far. First name, shift, hold it. Now the contact ID, I can make it a little bigger, so it's easily available. Again, the relation, I can just reduce it to make more room. Now for the date, I hold the shift key, click on the bottom part. Now my dates are fine, and I can just move it just a little. Now if I wanted, I could just click here, shift hold, so that the website field, if I want it, move it inside. Okay. So that's the way you go about rearranging your report in the layout view. You see up here to the first name, I can extend it. Now you have access to, like, if you wanted to make all of this center with the alignment which is in the home button, or even in the format, I can make it center, right align. All of those features that you know from Word, you can do bold, italic. So if I wanted to make the contact ID bold, put a color on it, I've just done that. And from the design tab, I can go back to report view. So this is what my information will look like when I print it. So it's easier to work with in the layout view to make changes that you want. Okay, I can hit save and I can hit close. I'll create another report based on the query. Create report wizard. It says query relations. Add all the fields. I'll remove certain things. I think in this one I've already removed the stuff. Click next, next, next. I can make it landscape, next, and I can just put the word up here that will make sense to me, that what is this report based on? Report relations. So now when I hit finish, it's going to ask me the question, and then if I type your friend, then I only get the results based on the query friend. So right there. Now the same thing, I have to go back. I can close this view, close the print preview, and go to the layout view. And now I can start making changes here. I'm holding the shift key to select both of them so that I can make room as I move it. So that's the way you go about rearranging it. So make sure that all the wordings are clear. You can rename them if you want it. Reduce the size first, and then you can increase it. And then I can also go to format and make it center, so it moves it away from them. Now I can hit save, design, view, report view, and that's what my information will look like. If I close this, every time I run this report relations, it will run the query. So if I've added more records, it will give me the new records also. So this is the basic idea behind Access in terms of tables, queries, forms, and report. I'm going to do another video in which I'm just going to introduce the idea behind relational database, where you have two different tables and they are linked to each other, and just work with that and just show you the same elements just from a different point of view with relationships. Thank you for watching, and watch out for my next video on relational database.